and reform.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
The CCJ will be a Caribbean court, reflective of Caribbean culture, Caribbean values, and everything Caribbean. I ask this question: which court do you think will adequately reflect the views of Caribbean people to those who worry? Will it be the Privy Council, persons in Britain, persons who have never lived in Caribbean, persons who don't share our values, persons who don't understand what we stand for and what values we uphold? Or would it be our people who have grown among us, who live among us, who attend the churches we attend, who attend the schools we attend, who are members of the soccer teams that we are members of? Who best do you think will reflect us?
It's about time. It's long overdue. We should be there because, get out of the British thing, and so we are all one Caribbean, and I think that will be binding us more together.
Yours is yours. Privy Council is not ours. No matter what we do, what we say, no matter what ties we had to England, this is the time to keep divesting ourselves of those strings that tie us unnecessarily.
There's nothing in this bill for any partisan political party. Nothing. There's only one thing in this. It's for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and for the Caribbean region as a whole.
Justice has to be accessible, affordable, and swift.
Folks, you know my stance and you know I'm a principled person. I have stated very, very clearly that the CCJ is the way to go, and it is inevitable. Look, now people could have reservation and you have a right to, that's your business. But at the end of it all, we would have to handle our own affairs here in the Caribbean. We would have to have our own system, and I am simply saying the time is now. The time is here for us to do so. And look, we can have disagreements, we can... Look, I've stated on the program my position, and there are people who say straight up, Kem, I don't agree with your position, and they challenge and they say certain things, and I respect that. We should have a healthy debating going forward. Tomorrow we will have Joseph Roberts or some of his acquaintances or some of his colleagues to come in and speak about the CCJ, and you have the opportunity to ask a number of questions the same way. But I am telling you folks, you have listened to me many a years. I am confident that the CCJ is the way to go. It may not be perfect, and nothing in life is perfect. Nothing in life except God himself. But I am simply saying this is something that you need to look at. Give it a try. Look at it. Listen to the both arguments. I am convinced that the CCJ is better for this region than the Privy Council at this point in time. And I am saying it will be better for many, many years to come. So I am simply asking of you to vote yes for the CCJ.
Grenada is about to embark on another historic mission of amending its constitution for the first time since its independence. From all indication, the push is for the changes to be made before the end of the year, 2 years after the first attempt failed.
We believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved, and hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward, because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass. And I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. But I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction. And it would be, to me, almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country.
2 years ago, 8 bills were tabled for constitution change. But this time around, the focus is on one which, if successful, will see the Caribbean Court of Justice replacing the London Privy Council as the final court of appeal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who was re-elected to office by a landslide victory on March 13, 2018, says he intends to play an active role this time around.
And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now the countries that are now part of the CCJ are getting decisions based on the govern those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I will play a much more active role this time than I did the last time.
The bill seeking the constitutional change is
She going and vote, he going and vote, they going and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. Get up. It's time to vote for Caribbean Court of Justice. Man are ready to vote. The people ready to vote. I said they're ready to vote. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. My people, remember, November the 6th, Caribbean Court of Justice is the best choice. Vote yes, the Caribbean Court of Justice. Up, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be with you until the 10 o'clock. Well, no, not the 10. 10 now. So we after the 10 now? Right, so after the 10, then you have 11, and then there'll be 12. Right, so I'll be here with you until the 12 o'clock hour.
Independence Day comes around. We keep saying we are free to chant our own destiny.
Once again, it's a beautiful Thursday on the Isle of Spice. Yes, indeed it is. Yes, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us this morning. And of course, we're live on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Al's FM, and in Brooklyn, via 94.9.
To advance towards total independence. Those who strip the light from we should never ever be in charge of our apex code.
Good morning, Sonia. See, you're in early this morning.
Men and women of distinction, so for the CCJ you must vote. Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. I know Mary Shaw would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ on the...
Good morning to you, Denise. You're watching all the way from Canada. Oh, Skeeter, mommy. Okay, good morning, mom.
Down with colonialism, that was the slogan from Georgetown to Belmopan.
Yeah, this morning I feel we're going to try and find one or two ministers online. Yeah, I feel we're going to try and call and see what we get this morning.
The judiciary, an important pillar, is still in the hands of the colonizer. So, come let me rally around the CCJ.
Yeah, morning, Depot. Jillian, Hannah, Leslie.
Caribbean people, this is another.
Englishman, good morning, and good morning to your mom down there in the fence. Yes, mommy, you.
Why should those who don't understand how customs and journey?
We papa somebody wait for me to say what? We have a look call online. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, morning, sir. You're live.
I hardly hear him.
You're live. Go right ahead.
Oh, Mr. Scott.
Hi.
I can't get you. You're off the air.
You're on air right now.
You're on the air now.
Yes.
All you was off for some time.
Yeah, we had a problem for a couple of weeks, but we've been on since. We've been on for this week every day.
Well, I tried to get you. I was getting you, I think, on that River Road frequency.
Okay, the power of the frequency, the River Road frequency, 97.5, the power is not up fully, so it is not as strong as it should be. But as we say every single day, we are also live on 89.5. So if you're not getting us one place, you can get us on the other one.
Okay then, thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why we make a special point every single program to repeat all of the stations that are broadcasting. So if you're not getting on 97.5, you start to check 89. Although both of them were down for some time due to the lightning strike, several of them were down. So yeah, that's all kind of take place there. You understand? Nice, beautiful. But we're on right now.
Endless jubilation when independence day comes.
Hey, Irvin, hey, happy birthday, bro.
Saying we are free to chant our own destiny.
Sold ya, man.
From our mother country. But don't care how we dance up in the street. Our independence is not complete.
Yeah, I didn't get enough time to cut up certain clips and so. Last night, as we promised, the CCJ Advisory Committee, they held that meeting up there at Wester Hall in St. David. Feature address was given by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit of Dominica. In fact, I think that in a little while, Zim, could we have Jess Skerritt's presentation? Jess Skerritt's presentation. Yeah, in a little while, I think we're going to try to put out for you just Prime Minister Skerritt's presentation. Out of the entire thing, the statement that stuck out for me, that stood out there from his entire presentation, it was a wonderful presentation because you heard from one prime minister of a neighboring territory that would have been signatories to the Caribbean Court of Justice as their final, well, to create the Caribbean Court of Justice. And his government would have gone through the process and had the Caribbean Court of Justice as their final appellate court. So he was speaking as a prime minister in a country that already has the Caribbean Court of Justice as their final appellate court. Yeah?
Beautiful flags and anthems.
Wasn't speaking as one who is trying to get it or one who believes it should be done and is trying to do that. He spoke as one who already has it.
So
the statement that stood out for me was the one that now is the time, it goes along similar lines as, now is the time to cross the river before you get flooded. Yeah? I don't know if everyone quite picks up what he's saying there, but he said, now is the time to cross the river before you get flooded. Because come the 7th of November, the day after the referendum, some people just think I'm calling the wrong date. No, the referendum is on the 6th of November. But come the 7th of November, let's say people decide that they're voting no. And that the no vote is successful. And on the 7th of November, the English administration, the British administration decides that they're closing the Caribbean Court of Justice. They're closing, the Privy Council. Where does that leave us as a country? Are we going to wait until we end up in a situation like that and then have to rush through the process because then we'll be in a crisis state? Are we then going to have to rush through the process of having to create another referendum? Because you will have to go to a referendum to do it. Are we going to say that we're waiting until the crisis is upon us? Until we are flooded? You ever look at hurricanes coming in the United States? It's always interesting in Florida, especially when you have some of those monster hurricanes coming. And you always have this group of people that always, I'm not leaving, I'm not going, I'm gonna, what? Ride it out. Yeah? I'm gonna ride it out. I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna stay right here and ride it out. I've been through hurricanes before. This doesn't scare me. So they come with all this bravado. All of this machismo. Yeah? The bravado. And then you know what happens? Hurricane comes through. The place gets flooded. They end up on top their roof. If they survive and they're lucky, they end up on top their roof. And then other people have to risk their lives to go and save them. Good morning, Avron. Yeah, other people end up having to go and risk their lives to go and save them. Does that make any sense? And it's the same situation that we are facing with the CCJ versus the Privy Council. It's not a given that we will end 2018 with the Privy Council. It's not a given that we will end October with the Privy Council. Because we have no way of ensuring that it continues. Her Majesty could just decide now that watch this Privy Council thing, she received whatever notification from the British Parliament, and they decide we no longer want to be using our taxpayer dollars, British taxpayer dollars, to fund a court that we the British people do not use, that we the British people have no use for. You're not going to be spending millions of pounds on maintaining a court for countries like Grenada and St. Vincent and Antigua and Jamaica and Trinidad. These countries actually have a court down there already. No, the average British taxpayer is hearing this. That there is an existing court in the Caribbean that was set up using a fund of $100 million, that the interest from that pays off for different aspects of the court, and that maybe in 10 years, 5 years, could be 20 years, they may have to replenish, so each country may have to come up with some money and put in again. Yeah, that might be in 5, 10, 20 years. That may or may not happen. But at the same token, it's not British taxpayer money that's paying for the regional court. It's me and your money that paid to set up that court. So our money was paid to set up that court. Grenada already paid back what they had to pay back and everything for it. But the British taxpayer, the same people who are right now saying, Brexit, we don't want to have to be dealing with these people from France and Italy and Germany and so who come into our country and get our benefits. That's part of what Brexit is about. People from Europe who are part of the European Union able to go to the United Kingdom and gain the same benefits, social welfare benefits, etc., as other workers or other people of the United Kingdom. That's part of what Brexit was about. And now the same people who voted in favor of leaving the European Union because their money was paying for things that they don't use or that were benefiting other people that are not contributing back to the UK economy, they voted in favor of coming out of that sort of situation. And we're going to depend on them to keep the Privy Council open. How long do you think it's going to be before they decide time for the Privy Council to go? So the words of Prime Minister Scott last night, when he said, it's time to cross the river before you get flooded, out of everything that he said, those words stuck with me. Because it is time for us to cross the river. Prime Minister Mia Mottley, when she was making her presentation the other day, said it in a different way, and she was paraphrasing former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Portia Simpson Miller, when she said, time come. Are we going to say that we're going to vote no against this and then find ourselves? Could be the day after, could be weeks after, could be months after, could be years after, but find ourselves in a situation that we have to go through this process again. Not by our own doing, but by the doing of the British people who are already telling you that they don't want to be spending money on things that they don't use, and they do not use the Privy Council. So it is of no benefit to the British taxpayer to be paying thousands of pounds a year to judges and millions of pounds a year to keep the system up. To them, that money is better spent on welfare programs and social programs in the UK to benefit British citizens, the elderly, or the differently abled, or to put that money in the schools. But there are some of us in this country who have the attitude of, unless I get what I want, nothing must go forward. That's a selfish attitude. A very selfish attitude. And I'm very glad, because I must commend the National Democratic Congress. Well, you find that sounding strange coming from me? No. I must commend them because they have looked past politics and have identified that this issue is important above partisan party politics. You saw the acting political leader, and he spoke last night, and he said it. And as he said, yes, they have different issues. They have different things. They may have wanted to see the process done differently. They may have wanted to see other things included. But at the same token, it is so important that it should be done. And some people are asking, but why is it so important? Why is it so important? Ask why it's so important when the British decide that they don't want to have no Privy Council again. These are the same people, and I could bet my life on it. These are the same people that won't come back and tell Grenadians, well, yeah, all you had the opportunity and you all didn't take the opportunity, and now look, the British pull out. That shows no forward planning. That's the same people coming back and do like they had nothing to do with saying vote no, you know. That's the same set of people going to do that. We have an opportunity to get out of the lowlands before it becomes flooded. Before other people have to risk their life to come and save us. We see it on the international news all the time. Bunch of people. Always have these people in Florida that feel they're Superman. I don't know if they come out of one of the Marvel comics or the what's the next one? The DC Universe. I don't know which one of them they come out for. If there's Superman, if there's Black Panther, I don't know who they think there is. But a force of nature, a hurricane is coming. You know it's going to cause flooding. You know it's going to have heavy wind and that sort of thing. So you know that the danger is coming. You know the possibility. But they just decide we're going to shelter in place. We're going to stay here. Enough notice, you know. They have enough notice. A hurricane is coming. They have enough notice that the hurricane is coming and they refuse to move. Just because they think they're Superman or Superwoman or what? Captain America? Or is the next one now? They're going and release next year. Captain, what's she name? Captain Marvel? Yeah. They feel is one of those superheroes. So they just refuse to move. They can survive it. They can get through it. And then the situation comes on them and they realize, well, the flood waters are rising. How do I get out of here? The flood waters are rising. The time is coming when I'll have to get out of here. And then what do we see? We either see video footage of people going to reclaim their bodies because they died, because they thought they were Superman and they stayed too late, or we end up seeing a situation where these people have other people risking their lives to go and get them out from their houses or their business places and so on. So you see the whole place flooded and they're on roof. You know who those are? Those are the same people that right now that just keep saying no because they ain't get what they want specifically. They just want that. And unless they get that, we want it. Talking about rushing the process. Spent 400 years in slavery, close to 200 years in emancipation, 45 years in February as an independent nation, and talking about rush? What, you is a dinosaur? They mean rush. This is nothing about rush. It is getting it done before somebody come and do it for you. Because the day will come. Not if, what, but, or might. The day will come when the flood waters will start rising. And you better be on the other bank of the Jordan River. Ain't Anna? You better be on the other side of the bank. The other bank of the Jordan River. You better be on the high side. Because the day will come that the Privy Council, I've read articles, because I've been doing my research, I've been reading. I've read articles by British jurists. I've read by regional people. I've read by other persons within the Commonwealth. And many of them are saying, especially those in the UK, that the Privy Council is getting close to being eliminated. The time is coming when you won't have an option of whether to go to the Privy Council because there'll be no Privy Council to go to. So why should we put ourselves in a situation that we're waiting until when the Privy Council is dissolved, broken up, closed down, and we have no final court of appeal? Because, you know, as far as they're concerned, they're not depriving us of anything, you know, we're depriving them of. So the time will come. Yeah, and Hannah, we are the Windrush situation. The people are telling you they don't want you. But you're trying to force yourself and stay there. I mean, Wizard, tell them. And we have a call online. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning, how are you doing?
Good, good. If the CCJ doesn't get its way, or say us Grenadians, us intelligent ones, don't get our way and we don't get into the CCG, and the Privy Council closes on us, to get into the CCJ now, I'm assuming it would mean that we have to go through another referendum.
Yeah, it does mean that somewhere in Grenada's future, we will have to go through a referendum again.
Which would be another cost.
And at that point in time, there'll be no option of whether to say yes or no. It will just be how you put it. It will only be, the only option would be to say yes. There will not be a no option. Because at that point in time, you will have no Privy Council to say, let's stay in the Privy Council. Because there will be no Privy Council. That's why Prime Minister Skerrit said, cross the river before you get flooded.
So in other words, we still have to go back to the polls.
If we are not successful.
If what?
If the process is not successful this time around.
Well, yes, that's what I mean.
Definitely we'll have to.
And it means that all you could do is say yes.
No, people could decide that
you could decide not to.
People can decide that they want to say no right now, but if they say no right now, they're saying no knowing full well that you will have to go back to this process again, and then there will only be one option, yes. There will be no option. There'll only be the option of yes.
So then,
because
wouldn't that then be a waste of resources, time, money, everything? Personnel, everything?
You would know that. I would know that. But some people are not seeing past their own nose. All they're smelling is their...
I agree with you, they're seeing. They're just selfish.
But that's what I was getting at.
I am hearing someone, I was listening to it as much as I could last night, and I heard somebody made so many good statements about it. They did make some... they don't see the necessity for it to be now, the urgency and whatnot, and trying to make our Prime Minister look like he didn't know what he was saying to TAMCC students. Okay, this is democracy. But you made all those good points about CCJ, and you still turn around and say, don't vote? Don't vote yes? And that is a man that I am very disappointed in. Not because he's saying no, but because of his reasoning. And then you end up with a note. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I've heard him before, and, and I respect his opinion. But I was kind of shocked to hear him making that kind, and whoops, was a bold no boy, but I guess we live in a democracy.
Yes, we are living in a democracy, and that's why we're hearing from all sides of the discussion. But in the same token that one has a right to be able to speak, one also has a responsibility with that right to be factual, truthful, and honest.
Precisely.
Some people don't see it that way, though.
I guess.
All right, my dear. Yeah, some people do not see it that way. They don't see that they have a responsibility to be truthful, honest, and factual in what they're saying. They don't see that. Yeah, so some people tell you, yes, we believe in the CCJ, yes. And I can understand certain people's argument, I can understand the argument by the Labour representative. Yeah, I can understand his argument about the CCJ should be the final court of appeal when it comes to election petitions and that sort of thing. I can understand that. Especially that now that you've seen the speed of what has taken place in Barbados, yes, you could understand that. But you also have to understand that the reason it was done in that way in the first instance was, as it is right now, we still go to the Privy Council, and if you're going to extinguish, you're going to deal with election issues quickly before an election. That's the reason these things were sent up to the High Court and the OECS Court of Appeal and not allowed to go to the Privy Council. But that doesn't say that in the same way that you can amend the Constitution now to ensure that when the day comes that the Privy Council is no longer there, that you still have your own court, so that doesn't bother you because you're not in the Privy Council, that you have your own Caribbean Court of Justice that you can go to. When that day comes, yeah, you still have that. But when it comes to that issue that is being raised, that could be addressed in another referendum. It's not like this is going to be the last referendum. During the last referendum, and my good friend there, Ambrose Phillip, pointed it out last night. He said, we have to decide what we want. 7 bills came before the people, and people said that was too much. Now you bring one, and some people are arguing that is too little bit. So it's, what do some of them really want? They just want the thing to be built in their own image and likeness. They want it to be like their twin. Unless it is exactly how they want to see it, they're not going to support it. They're not going to say, well, look, I get 1 or 2. Let me be happy with the 1 or 2 that I get. They're not looking at it from that aspect. Unless they get everything that they want inside it, they're not supporting it. So as far as they're concerned, to hell with it. If the process fails, to hell with it. That's what they see. So unless I get everything I want, and you know what's getting, and I think it's unfair to many of the people that are attending the forums, the various fora around the country, or forums around the country. I think it's unfair to them. You have a traveling circus of no. That's what I would refer to them as. The traveling circus of no. That came with the same story when Prime Minister Mia Mottley was there. That come with the same story in Grenville. That some of them went with the same story in St. John. They went to come with the same story last night because Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt was there. They come with the same story. Well, the whole battalion at the traveling circus of no came out last night in St. David. And given the opportunity to continue doing that, they're going to come with the same set of stories again next week in St. Patrick. I believe it's heading to St. Patrick. I have to confirm the exact location and so on, and we'll give you that information. But the traveling circus of no. Because no matter how much you tell one of them in the traveling circus of no, that yes, Grenada is an independent country, that individual refuses to believe it. They even asked me that question on radio. I responded. They've asked Sir Lawrence Joseph. They've asked every television program they get the opportunity to call in on and ask that question, they ask it. Every radio program they get to ask that question on, they ask it. Because they want people to believe that they're more intelligent than everybody else. So no matter how much times you tell them that is not the case, they just think that they're more smart than everybody. That they're more intelligent than everybody else. And therefore, somebody must admit that even though what they're saying is wrong, somebody must come and admit that they're right. No, nobody had to come and pet your ego. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And they're wrong. Yeah, they are wrong. Then you have one that coming now about, oh, the bill allowing government to make whatever change they want to the Constitution. That is not true. They said it on radio. It was responded to. They come to say it, I think, at the school, Heinze School last week, Thursday. It was responded to. The traveling circus of no. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a bunch of clown. Because if you're being told the same response over and over and over, then you have the disrespectful one that came last night. When you have a visiting dignitary as the Prime Minister of another country visiting your island, yeah, we should be as respectful to them as we would like them to be respectful to our dignitaries when we visit their country. But you had one individual that was just out to grandstand last night with a bunch of nonsense about, did you read the bill and did you see the bill? The bill was published in the newspapers. It was published in the newspapers. The bill has also been circulated. If somebody don't want to read it, it's up to them. But don't try to give the impression that the bill isn't being circulated and isn't being put out there. It's online. The papers have it. So it's different places. So if somebody wants to read the bill, they can read it. Yeah? But anyway, let me let Wizard talk for a little while and then I'll come back to it. 440-7377. You know, I ain't checked the live for a little while. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Yeah? Nice. Beautiful. Cross the river before you get flooded.
It's grand celebration, endless jubilation. When independence day comes around, we keep saying we are free to chant our own destiny. There's no more mother country. But don't care how we dance up in the street, our independence is not complete. So come let we rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence. Those who strip the life from we should never ever be.
Yes, indeed. The traveling circus of no.
We have in the Caribbean men and women of distinction. So for the CCJ, you must vote.
Everybody has a right to speak. Everybody has a right to hold their own opinion. Yeah? Everybody has a right. I have no problem with them holding the opinion that they should vote no. But when you try to hog the limelight so that other people who had valid questions sit down there and just decide, well, these people and them, you want to speak for 10, 15 minutes, make your point and move on. That's why that set up people, that traveling circus of no. That is why they don't call here, you know. They don't call here because they know on hard talk. We don't tolerate stupidity. And we don't tolerate disrespect. That's two things we don't tolerate on this program. It could not be me. It could be Devon and sit down in a chair. And I'm not around. And you could be assured that the standard would be upkept. That nobody would be allowed to disrespect and nobody would be allowed to come and do what they think they're doing out there. Where they could do another program, they can't do it here. That's why the traveling circus of no ain't go call here. Because they know me ain't go tolerate that. Yeah? Or some of them talking about these progressives and things. Progressives way. Please.
Towards total independence. Why should those who don't understand our customs and traditions be in charge of our apex court? We have in the Caribbean men and women of distinction. So for the CCJ we must vote. Come let we rally around the CCJ without delay.
Yeah, you could tell them you could be a lawyer with a doctorate, a degree, you could be a professor of law, and you're explaining a principle of law to an individual who never even set foot in a law school. And you're trying to explain a principle in law to that individual. I'm talking about a specific one of the traveling circus of no. And that individual will just do like they know better than you. I don't care. This supposed this and this supposed that. Yeah? And no, my friend Teddy, it has nothing to do with that. It's not a matter of whether one is a NDC or a NNP. Because you could have seen yesterday, you had the political leader, the acting political leader of the National Democratic Congress, on the platform yesterday saying that the NDC supports the CCJ, but they may have their issues with the process. They may have their issues and believe that other things need to be addressed as well. But they are in support of the Caribbean Court of Justice. They are in support of it. And I would not like to believe that they're telling their supporters one thing from the public platform and then saying another thing in private. I wouldn't like to believe that. I saw various people from the National Democratic Congress there yesterday, and they said clearly that they support the CCJ. Yeah? They support the Caribbean Court of Justice. So if you support it and you have the opportunity to get it, why throw away the opportunity now to get it and then wait until it is shoved down your throat? Because I say, the day could come. It could be today. You never know. I could go online now and probably just see an article coming from the BBC that the UK has taken the decision to close down the Privy Council since the cases that are dealt with there. None of them are from the UK. All of them are from Commonwealth countries. And they are spending millions of pounds on that on a yearly basis. And these countries have the ability. They have the people who are trained. They have the facility. And they even have the money to set up their own courts. And in the case of the Caribbean, have already done that. that the Caribbean has lawyers and has judges and so on of such a high caliber that the judges have been taken from the Caribbean to deal with international issues as genocide and so on, and war crimes, other war crimes. Judges from right in the Caribbean that has their own CCJ, that judges from the Caribbean or people from the Caribbean have become chief judges in places as in African countries and even in Canada, have become chief justices in these places. So we have the competency, we have the capability, we have the facility, we have the system that is even better. The system that is even better than what the UK Privy Council is doing. Name one person in the region, in the whole of the Caribbean, that have argued a case to the Privy Council via video conferencing. One. Okay, half of one. Anywhere in the Caribbean. In fact, okay, let's broaden it. You want a couple million people to deal with? Name one within the Commonwealth that has argued a case to the Privy Council using video conferencing. Name one. Any of them for the traveling circus of no. Name one. So you have the technology within the Caribbean Court of Justice. The British ain't going and spend no millions of pounds to put in no audio-visual system and no technological system for a court that they don't use when they have things they have to do with their own courts. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. The same people that just vote to exit with Brexit, they're gonna go and take their money and put in the government that's in place there now. William, if you're listening, you could call me. Rasta, out there in the UK. You think they're going to take their money and spend to do more things? We have the Governor General residence that up to now, they ain't even send 10,000 pounds and say cut the bush around it. In Grenada here, since 2004, they even send 10,000 pounds and say cut the bush around the Governor General residence, maintain the gardens. They didn't even send that. Yeah? They didn't even send that. But here are we saying that we should stick there. Stick there what? You want to get put out? Yes, big man, big woman, time to leave mommy and daddy house. Even if it was your adopted parents, time to leave the house. You're working for a good salary. You could afford to get your own. In fact, it is like you, this is like you at the age of 45, because Grenada, remember, is going to be 45 in February. 45, yeah, should be 45. So you're closing in on the age of 45. You already spend your money and you're renting a place. You furnish the place. So you put chair set, you have fridge, you have stove, you have washing machine, microwave, you have television, sound system, you have internet inside there. Man, you spend money and you well lay out a house. It's well fixed up. And you, the 45-year-old, still living by your mother, and you ain't making use of the place that you're renting. Or the place that you bought, because you ain't had to pay nothing on a monthly basis for it. The place that you bought, paid cash, it's already secured. You just had the house sit down there. And you're jamming by mommy and them. And mommy and daddy telling you, hey, you're a big man or you're a big woman, time to come out the house. And you just refusing to leave. I ain't leaving until you sign over everything in this house to me. Until you hand me a will. If you ain't give me a will that says that all when all you go to the great beyond that this house belong to me, I ain't leaving and going mine. Oh, I am not the only child, I'm one of a few, you know. Me want to fight up with nobody over nothing. So give me, unless you get what you want, you ain't going and use the other house. That making sense to all you? Your mommy and daddy still continue to provide your meals and pay for your water and pay for your light, and think the people and them probably in the 80s. But you want them pay for your light and pay for your water and all kind of thing on the local pension? Man, get out of the house. Go and live in your own. But some all you don't think like that. No. All you want to stay 45 years. You want to stay by mommy and daddy. Cross the river before you get flooded. Cross the river before you get flooded. All right? Nice.
Down with colonialism.
Stephen, as I said, I would not like to believe that the NDC as a political organization would be disingenuous and on a public platform would be saying that they support the CCJ and then in the background telling the supporters vote. No, I wouldn't think they would be doing that. I honestly do not believe they'd be doing that. As much as they might like mommy cooking, if they don't go and sort themselves out and learn how to cook or get a wife to cook properly for them, at the end of the day, when mommy or daddy when mommy close she eye, they wouldn't be getting that food again, you know.
Towards total independence. Why should those who don't understand our customs and traditions be in charge of our apex code? We have in the Caribbean men and women of distinction. So for the CCJ we must vote. Come let we rally around the CCJ. Without delay, not tomorrow, but today. I know that Williams would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ on the way.
Believe me, you could love mommy cooking as much as possible. I think I didn't love my mother cooking. But the day came when she closed her eyes, never to open them again, and that was the end of mommy cooking.
Independent nation.
So I'm going to stop eat.
In the Caribbean Sea, have the capability to build strong institutions.
Can't just decide that I can't get mommy food, so I stop eat. Then I'll die. Good morning.
Morning, Senator.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Yes, Scott.
All right.
Well, Senator, I'm sorry I didn't avail myself of the opportunity to say a little something last night, but I volunteered latterly, too late. But in any case, this is which is here. I listened to the contributions of the various of the head table, and I was impressed. You hear the contribution of the members of some of the members of the floor, and you wonder indeed, as you quoted Mr. Philip, Ambrose Philip, regarding the question of the ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, I am impressed that I'm hearing a different song from the opposition party. However, it is just my position that I'm not convinced as yet as to the wholeheartedness of the sounding I'm hearing. I would ask that they sit and really clarify themselves to themselves and really expound a position which they can stand behind in a genuine way. But Brother Scott, we speak of repatriation. I made a statement yesterday relative to repatriation, meaning what the colonizers owe to the offsprings of the people they enslaved. And listening last night, what brought me to some deep meditation was our own responsibility and duty toward the persons, the people, the millions of our African foreparents who were enslaved, who endured slavery, and who suffered, who resisted, tooth and nail resisted that evil system, that and dehumanizing a system that they had to endure and fight for 400 years and counting. You know, I wonder, some of the naysayers, what exactly they are saying to these our foreparents. What exactly are they saying to these our foreparents? Do they really understand what slavery was to our foreparents? Do they not? And I is to hear a learned gentleman speak of misinterpret, and I would say abuse a comment by the Prime Minister regarding the urgency, the necessity of the yes vote. The way he has distorted that comment and tried to inculcate ulterior motives into a logical, rational, historical truth is astounding. I never thought I would have heard him come there last night again and repeat what he said on to the point yesterday morning. But he persists. Unfortunately, he persists. And I have to tell you, these people, you refer to them as a bandwagon. They are organized and they are persistent. They will be at all the meetings, and in my appreciation, they will be at all the meetings spouting doubt, spouting disunity, spouting lack of cooperation, for spouting what I consider to be insults to the sacrifices made by our foreparents. Brother, the Honorable Prime Minister of Dominica, I think he made an excellent presentation, and the examples he drew was indeed enlightening. If I recall correctly, he stated that the contribution Eugenia Charles made was when she was in opposition. She suggested, she made a suggestion that today prevents or allows Dominica to have a free way into the CCJ. I think this is the example. That is what statesmanship speaks of. This is what our opposition today has to emulate. This is what they have to aspire to. This is what they have to demonstrate in no uncertain terms, unambiguously. I mean, to be talking about 66 and a third percentage, and it is necessary for this and that. Man, speak it, mean it, and show it. Do it. Do it. I mean, this is a noble act on behalf of the tribulations our foreparents have gone through. They have cried out to us to unshackle ourselves, unshackles our minds from that colonial hypocrisy. Come on. Comrade, I really wanted to say to the Dominican Prime Minister, and I see the last caller there, in my opinion, I thought he was rather disrespectful to the honorable gentleman.
And in, you know, the problem I have with that is this: you cannot have. I think they attempted to do it with Prime Minister Mia Mottley, and again with Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. There is an attempt by that traveling circus of no to attempt to embarrass either. I don't know if they think they're embarrassing the government, but they're embarrassing all Grenadians when they do this nonsense.
Well,
they're embarrassing all Grenadians with this nonsense.
It's in truth, because this thing was carried nationally. But at the last few minutes, I was looking at her talk to try and see if you all have it already there. Because I wanted, I had a little difficulty to hear in the contribution of Mr. Ambrose Phillips in its entirety. You know? But what I said, the gentleman, I mean, could imagine he making a statement about the Prime Minister of Dominica, the Prime Minister of the Barbados have no purpose in coming here to speak to Grenadians about the CCJ? Is that a son of T.A. Marichaud speaking? Is that a son of Julian Fedon speaking? Is that a son of Erigeri speaking? Is that a son of Maurice Bishop speaking, as Black Wizard himself says in his song? Was that a Grenadian speaking? Is he real? I mean, come on. How much more?
My brother, you're on the exact same level as me. You're on the exact same level as me. I know that you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. I think that some people need to learn that when they do these things, they're not embarrassing the Prime Minister of Grenada, you know. You're not embarrassing the government of Grenada. You're embarrassing all Grenadians. You think they're going back and say the Grenadian government or the Grenadian Prime Minister? They go back to their countries and they say Grenadians. So when you do that sort of thing, when you give that sort of behavior, that sort of disrespectful behavior and so on, it is representative of each and every one of us.
I understand. But I say it again to my people of Grenada. We are called upon to, on the 6th of November, to do something in honor of all our foreparents who were subjected to the most cruel acts ever imposed on a human being across the centuries of this world. The Africans that were subjected to that system called slavery in the Caribbean. It is more than incumbent upon us to do the reasonable and logical thing and say yes to our accession to a court of our own people in the main, by our own people who understands our own people and are eager to help our own people do things right and proper. so that the rest of the world will continue to enjoy the fruits of our academic, intellectual, and other attributes innate to our people.
My brother, what we're going to do is at the end of Hard Talk, we're going to play the presentation by Prime Minister Scott. We're going to play it at the end, and then tomorrow morning, I think when we're starting, we're going to play different excerpts from his presentation as well.
Thank you.
Technical man always busy in the background.
Yes, yes. And I want to compliment. I want to compliment the contribution the Prime Minister of Dominica made. It was very enlightening. I think the people, and I will repeat, I know the people of the Caribbean are really looking at the children of Fedon, the children of the slaves of Grenada, and eager to see that they take the opportunity to set themselves free from this important legacy of colonial vestige. You know, they make a statement.
My brother,
what is the benefit for us?
Let's cut it in case somebody else wants to call. All right, my brother. Okay. I know, Doc. I know when you get upset over something, that's how it does go. I know you're good now, so I know this thing itching you. Because how could somebody come and say this is a rust process? You spent 400 years in slavery. Yeah? Part of it you spend under the French, you spend under the Spanish, and you spend a good bit under the English. In fact, in Grenada, it's mostly under the French, and then the English come in at the end there. And the same people that used to whip you, that used to do all these kind of things, you're saying you still want to remain connected to them? What happened? That's what they call it again, Stockholm Syndrome. I think some of them in the traveling circus have no suffering from slavery Stockholm Syndrome. Because I can't understand how you call yourself a progressive. And as Doc would have just said, a child of Fedon. Yeah? And still want to remain. Anyway, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Hey, how are you?
And good morning to Dr. Thomas.
Yes, man, the people's doctor.
Good morning to Devon, wherever he is. And good morning to all my Canadian home and abroad. Mr. Watts, everybody. Devon, good morning. Well, I want to say good morning to the Dominica Prime Minister. I met that man and I get me over, get me shaken. Yes. Well, you know, Carmi, and good morning to my minister, appointed minister, Mr. Peter David. Good morning, boss. I got a whole show yesterday of Foreign Affairs Department, and I was invited yesterday to meet with the Dominica Prime Minister. Mr. David, thank you very much. You know, and I had a very good time with the audience. Was all right, you know. I don't quite like some of them, but I did understand a lot of the questions that was raised and the answers. And some of them, they come there, to be honest speaking, they come there with a politics thing. Over and over, I hear them already talking, and it's the same thing. But so I want to say my love to that man. Nice tall man, eh? Mr. Scott.
Yes, indeed.
Anyhow, and I want to tell the people that forget to pick me up. Next time when we go in this forum, we want to stay and listen from the beginning to the end. They just leave and go. That is this education. We go there to get some education of the CCJ. So when we go to vote, we know what we voted for. They just leave and go. Mr. Scott, and that is not right. You understand me? You have to stay to listen. When the forum, the thing was going on the most the word I will use. I mean, words that the people, Mr. Francis Alexis, explaining to us Mr. Ferguson, the people leave and they go. With Iraq, it's not everything that you're going to need. You're going to sit and listen to the people so we could educate ourselves. When we go to vote on the 6th, we know what we...
Hello?
Good evening. A good day. You hear me?
All right, my dear.
I have 1 minute so they go cut me out.
Oh, gosh.
Have a good day to everybody.
All right.
And I didn't like that part where they let them go. You understand?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay, my love. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Right, well, let's send some credits on Cammy phone for her. Nice. My friend who does usually do that here, you know. Yeah, Cammy, the lady passed to look for you, but you wasn't there. The place the lock. Yeah, the lady who does usually, you know, do the little top up and thing. Yeah, she passed to look for you, but she wasn't. You wasn't there. I know you went. You're so straight away when you're ready. You this Cammy. Eh? You go on Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You go and get tour. You go and see Keisha. Eh? I know it's Keisha. You go and look for too, you know. Yeah. All right, 440-7377. That's 440-7377. And to all my Hindu friends, I need to say to you, Shubh Navratri. Oh, they don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Navatri, right? Shubh Navatri. I think I'm saying it correct. Yeah, it's not Shubh Diwali. It's Shubh Navatri. It's not Diwali right now. Diwali will be coming up soon, right? So to all my Hindu friends, those of you in Trinidad, those of you here in Grenada, wherever you are, right, nice. I know at this time of year, you usually have Diwali, and yeah, you have all those things where you have light candle and light diya and all kind of thing. All of them does come around the same time. Yeah? Nice, good. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Ernil, my good schoolmate, good morning to you, bro. Hope that you're having a wonderful one. And Honorable Lewis, good morning to you. Hope that you're also having a fabulous day today. Yeah, it's a beautiful Thursday on the Isle of Spice, eh? Yeah. I wonder if Cammy didn't get a talk yesterday. Cammy ain't come up and take the mic yesterday. Cammy could have taken the mic and deal with some of them yesterday, you know. Yeah, she could have taken the mic and go and deal with some of them yesterday, but she maybe decided she behaving herself. She ain't going and deal and embarrass some of them. So yes, indeed. And let me make something clear. When I make the statement, the traveling circus of no, I am in no way saying, because you know these days you just have to clarify what you say before you end up in trouble. I am in no way saying that all of the people that came out and were talking against different aspects of the bill or are saying that they don't feel comfortable with the bill, am I in no way saying that these people are clowns or are part of that traveling circus of no? The traveling circus of no has specific membership. Yeah, it's a specific group of clowns in that. It's a specific grouping. You just had the one that come in and talk about the country not independent. You had the other one who said there's a pollster. You had the certain one who is a lawyer. And then you had the one that come out and disrespectful, saying all kind of thing about they know this and they know that. And yeah, the one that always doing one-man protest and thing. That is why I say the traveling circus of no has a specific membership. They had a card and thing. You could identify them. So I'm in no way saying that everybody that come out and say, well, they have a problem with this aspect or they have a problem with that aspect. For instance, I wouldn't put Senator Lewis from the trade union move. I wouldn't put him in that category as part of the traveling circus or no, because he's not in the traveling circus or no. He has a concern in relation to a certain aspect of the bill. Yeah? And he has voiced his opinion in relation to that. So me putting him in the traveling circus, and no, he's not a member. He ain't no clown. But the traveling circus, and you go see them again, they go appear. But here what? They ain't coming out just so, you know. They want you to bring somebody from, you know, somebody with some, like a regional leader, one of the judges or so. They want to come out in that kind of forum and try to play like they know what they're talking about. Because they want to create doubt. And it's nothing about, in some of the instances for the traveling circus, I know, it's nothing within that traveling circus about they don't like the CCJ. All of them saying that they like the CCJ and they support the CCJ and that kind of thing. But it's personal. It's selfish. It's a selfish thing. You have a particular lawyer who, mark my dunce words. Mark my words. Yeah, my dunce words. Mark my words. There's a particular lawyer that's going around as part of the traveling circus of no that you're going to see trying to enter politics within the next 5 years. Mark my words. The 11th of October 2018, just remember I told you that you're going to see that particular lawyer enter in politics. They need to get an entry point. They want a national platform to stand up on. They want to make sure that their name has recognition when you say it. So they're trying to use this platform, which is something that we should not be using for that kind of thing. Find some other platform and do that on. This deals with a national issue that if we do not move on it, it go move on us. It's like you find out you have cancer and you find out early enough so that you can take your treatment and get rid of that cancer. But you decide, no, me ain't taking the treatment. You're just ignoring it. We know that the Privy Council will not be there forever. We know it will not be there forever. So why are we trying to stay inside it when we don't know the date it's going to go? Stay there and like mommy food. And don't realize that mommy go close she eye one of these days. She will. All that lives must die. You could rise in Christ, or you could rise in Krishna, or you could rise in Allah, or whatever after. But all that lives must die. Even if you're a Hindu and you believe in reincarnation, you have to die first before you're reincarnated. So don't think that the Privy Council is there forever. So the day will come and you don't know when that day is. It could be by the time we finish this program, you hear news coming from the UK. Yeah, you can hear that kind of thing. Hannah, wait a minute, you don't know who's a lawyer? You must be able to tell, man. Anytime people trying to grandstand to start a political career, you could tell. You could tell. Yeah? 4407377. We'll play it together. 4407377. I'll interfere with me. 34732933101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on to the inside. Traveling circus of no. I ain't going to hear the end of that one.
Towards total independence. Those who strip the life from we.
Let me flip over to the political side for a short while. Just to let you all know, the New National Party Convention 2018 is going to be on the 28th of October, not November. Some people are having the date wrong. It's not November, it's this month, yeah? So it's going to be taking place at the Grenada Boys Secondary School. So get in touch with your various constituency representatives and so on. Those of you who intend to be delegates or who are usually delegates and that sort of thing, get in contact with your constituency offices. Make sure that you're paid up, eh? Yeah, if you ain't paid up and all kind of thing, you can't be a delegate, right? Some people want to quarrel, well, how come I is not a delegate? I'm in the party for so long. Yeah, but are you paid up on your dues and so on? Eh?
That was the slogan from Jobstown to Belmopan.
So remember the New National Party Convention that's taking place on the 28th of October at the GBSS Auditorium. Get in contact with your various constituency offices to make your arrangements.
Still in the hands of the colonizer. So come and we rally around the CCJ without delay.
Actually, if I not playing that one too, okay, let me play the other one. If I not play the other one once, let me play it now. I'll put that one down. That's some more.
Get up. It's time to vote for Caribbean Court of Justice. Man are ready to vote. The people ready to vote. I said they're ready to vote. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. My people, remember, November the 6th, Caribbean Court of Justice is the best choice. Vote yes, the Caribbean Court of Justice. Up, 2, 3, 4.
Our Grenadian people are proudly Caribbean, and we continually strengthen the bonds of the people of the region as together we embrace our collective destiny. We are the children of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, of Vivian Richards and David Rudder, as Caribbean as West Indies cricket, and as Caribbean as the University of the West Indies. We are reggae, we are soca, we are one vibration. Break the chains of colonialism for one united Caribbean. The Caribbean Court of Justice, proudly ours.
Yes, indeed, folks. Yeah, tell you some more, but I ain't playing them this week. I'll play them next week. Yeah, we ain't playing them this week. You'll touch them next week, right? Nice, good. 4407377, that's the number for you to get on to the inside of today's program. Remember, at the end of today's program, we're going to play the presentation by Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Yeah, Roosevelt Skerrit. Yeah, the man from Villacase. Not Villacase. Viejas. That's what you say it? Yeah. That's how Dominicans say it. Viejas. Yeah, we're gonna play that presentation by him at the end of today's program. Nice? Beautiful? Nice. Yes, and today, St. George Southeast, they're having that meeting. Oh boy, I'm trying to get this thing to show up in one thing here. What kind of thing you send me, the gal? Yeah, okay, nice. That, yes, man. All right, so for the residents of the Bocas, Petersfield, and so they're having that meeting with the Honorable Gregory Boyne. That's in the area around by Brian Worm, Jude Brian Worm area there. Nice.
I don't care how we dance up in the street.
And then on Saturday, St. Andrew Northwest, the Honorable Delma Thomas, she'll be having her meeting out there in the Mount Horn Community Center. Both meetings, Saturdays and today, start at 6 p.m.
Not tomorrow, but today. Caribbean people.
Yeah, Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, he's in Bali, yeah?
Towards total independence.
Also saw the governor at the bank, yeah, His Excellency Timothy. Yeah, Antoine. They're out there in the Pacific in Bali, in Indonesia, in Bali, at one of the international forums, the IMF, World Bank, and so on. Yeah.
Not tomorrow, but today.
You know, they're using Grenada as the poster child right now when it comes out to, straighten up your economy.
This is on the way.
Meanwhile, Honorable Gregory Boyne is the acting Prime Minister at this time. So that's just in case you didn't hear it before. I'm making sure that you know.
Down with colonialism, that was the slogan, from Jobstown to Belmopan.
Yeah, and according to my good friend here, watch how the British are treating the Windrush generation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, morning, sir.
I hear nothing about Northeast. I didn't have no meeting in Northeast. I hear nothing about that stuff at all. I hear all about that, but I didn't know what else about Northeast.
I'm pretty sure that there was a meeting scheduled for Northeast last week. I think that would have been a joint meeting, but I think what happened is that Prime Minister had to travel to Carriacou, so that one was put off, and probably until when he comes back, so that one might be for next week. There were about 2 in Northeast already outside of that. There were about 2 meetings in Northeast outside of that already that I know would have passed.
We know that we had one. I had one just there, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't no big thing, but
Yeah, but you just called the national radio, and on national radio you said that no meetings take place in Northeast. Now you're telling me you had one the other day.
yeah, but we need one. We need a big.
No, you ain't need one. You need a few, and you're going to get it. So don't give the impression that no meeting didn't take place, Papa.
Huh?
All right. Thank you. Yes, indeed. 4407377. No meeting would mean that none at all take place, but I've been seeing the schedule and I've been following them, so I know that meetings did take place. There was even one at First Choice with the people in Mount Parnassus and so on.
Is the foundation of every.
And then there were about two more after that that I remember in the St. George Northeast area, and there was a combined meeting in St. George Northeast. I can't remember if that was Willis or wherever, yeah. But there was a combined. New Hampshire, I think it was. So it's not true to say that no meetings take place there, Papa.
Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay.
That's what I was saying. Right now, look at what is going on with the Windrush generation. Yes, we had a good friend of ours. She called and she said, well, no, these people and them supposed to straighten themselves out and sort themselves out and that kind of thing. Listen, it's one way or the other. After you spend 40 years, 30 years, or you went up there as a child, help building the UK economy, and so on, do all this kind of thing, then they come and tell you you're not a British citizen, get out. Come on, man. They didn't know that when he was building. They didn't know that when he was working on that kind of thing. At the end of it, they come and they say, get out. Does that song right? No, man, that ain't songing right.
I know that Manley would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ on the way.
So, folks, just remember the New National Party Convention coming up on the 28th of October. Not November. Some people have it down as November. It's not November, it's October. This month.
Oh yeah, the CCJ on the way.
Then remember on the 6th of November.
I know that Joshua would have been proud to say,
we're heading to the polling stations. So voting in America, voting in Antigua, voting in Grenada.
oh yeah, the CCJ on the way. I know that Gavi would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ on.
Well, yes, Joseph, that's the add insult to injury, and I'm just responding to something that's said online by one of the posters there. He's saying that the majority of people that are receiving that sort of treatment from the British government right now are elderly people. In fact, nearly all of them are elderly. You're talking about people that are in the 60s and 70s, even as old as their 80s, right now that are going through this problem. You had a lady, and she would have been in her 70s, that would have left the UK and gone to Jamaica to visit her family for the first time in a few years. She usually does it, but she went for the first time. And when heading back into the UK, was not allowed to land, was not allowed to re-enter, was sent back to Jamaica. And this is a person that's been living there since the late 1960s. Is that fair? But let me stick to the Privy Council. Let me stay in the Privy Council. Again, I'm going to find that specific statement. Cross the river before it gets flooded. Don't act like them people in Florida. I thought other parts of the United States as act so too, you know. They always, we are moving. My family's lived here for the last 400 years. I'm not going anywhere. Then the hurricane come, and they see they're asking, where's FEMA? Where's FEMA? After they tell you come out the place, you don't come out. You know disaster coming. You don't come out the place. Boom, disaster come. And now somebody else, some person who have their own children and their own life, who did the right thing, had to come and risk their life to come and save you. After you were told to move and you just refuse. Yeah? Is that fair? No, it's not. Yeah, it's not at all. We have a caller. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Sheldon.
Morning. Are there?
Hey, Sheldon, I remember Eric Gary, the Moy Bishop, and I remember like Kit Mitchell, while addressing the nation. He called people that hate progress enemies of progress. Right? And Brother Sheldon, I want to say, as Grenadians, right? we and a picture of Grenada who never swim berry in Grenada. We like to see things that benefit people, things that help people to go forward in their life. Right? Each and every one of us should appreciate it. Right? We should appreciate it because it is good and benefit us. Right? Look at, as I was saying, how people that go into England at a young age work hard to develop England, and look at what England doing to them people and them. This is very unfair. Right? I want to say to those who say no to it, take a look at yourself. Right? Take a look at yourself. There was young people. They did not stay in the mother house forever. They leave when they go, they own their own house. And just as England, the Privy Council is in England, and England asking us to get out. So I want every Ghanaian to take a look at those who say no, take a look at themselves and see that it is time they want us to get out from the Privy Council, and we need to come together to get out, to have our own Caribbean code, which is the CCJ. Because the CCJ is the way to go. It benefits us. It is easier access to each and every one of us. Right? So let us, as November the 6th arrive, let us go out and vote for the CCJ, because it is a level playing field for each and every one of us. It benefits us, and it is a progressive mode. Because if we there in the Privy Council, it comes like we are not fully independent. But when we get from the Privy Council and we have our own code, we are fully independent. Brother Deb, Brother Sheldon, you are wonderful. God bless you.
All right, my brother. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. We have roughly 18 minutes. 18 minutes, yeah? 18 minutes remaining in today's program, yeah? Yeah, about that. Remaining in today's program. So you can call in. Even if you might have a question in relation to the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And next week, we're going to attempt to get, at least on 2 occasions, and we're going to try to do it 2 times per week now. At least on 2 occasions, we're going to attempt to get someone from the CCJ Advisory Committee in studio with us. I mean, every day, yeah, somebody from the Advisory Committee in studio with you, you know, me. But yeah, I'm not the only one that should speak. No, we are other people, man. We are lawyers. We are all kind of things.
An important pillar is still in the hands of...
Last time we had Mrs. Michelle Steele. We've had Brother Devon Rocher. We've had Dr. Francis Alexis. We've had Mr. Ruggles Ferguson.
Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence.
I could vex. Yeah, the traveling circus of no, it's the same people that's gonna appear all over the island on every radio program, every TV program, everything. Just want to attack, and only for their narrow personal political gains. Well, they think it's a gain. You ain't gaining nothing by that. You're going around and just trying to disrupt the process and create doubt in the minds of individuals. Yeah? But as I say, particular lawyer who is part of the traveling circus of no, within the next 5 years, I promise you, you're going to see that particular lawyer entering politics within that space of time. You go remember I said it here.
Self-determination is the foundation of every independent nation. We in the Caribbean Sea have the capability to build strong institutions. CDB, ECCB and UE are quite clearly testimonies. Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay, not tomorrow but today. Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence. Those who held us in slavery should never ever.
Anybody else find that if Wizard had sing this one during during August for Carnival and so on, yeah, he might have placed it, man. Yeah, man would have placed.
Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay, not tomorrow but today. I know that Manly would have been proud.
Sheldon?
Yes, ma'am.
Sheldon?
Yes, ma'am, you're live.
You don't lie, you know. That is a man that living up by me where you had the place going up in Granaville. You stay with the NDC. I'm telling you, somebody tell me that already. So I don't call no name, but somebody remember the NDC tell me you want to run for office for them. So, yeah? So you don't lie, you know what you're saying. But you didn't call no name, I don't call no name.
No name, no warrant.
Right. And he was there making all the trouble last night.
All you know, me ain't coming and say things just so.
I know that Morris would have been proud to say, oh yeah, this is CCJ.
So, folks, we're hoping that Devon would be back during next week so that we can get some, we have a program that we want to do on the 19th. That's next week, when? By October 19th. That's next week, Friday. So hoping that he could be back in by next week, Friday. Yes, so that we'll be able to do that program. Nice? Good.
So for the CCJ we must vote. Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. I know that Williams would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ only way. Self-determination is the foundation of every independent nation. We in the Caribbean Sea have the capability to build strong institutions.
Yes, I've been trying to get the information for the next major forum.
Testimonies. Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence. Those who held us in slavery should never ever be in charge of our apex court. We have in the Caribbean men and women of distinction. So for the CCJ, you must vote. Come let me rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. I know that Manley would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ on the way.
Yes, indeed, my good brother Steve Theodore, how are you doing? I hope everything is going well for you. Yeah, in fact, since I hear you there, let me play a little something for them, yeah. Let me play a patriotic tune for them, day.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. What you come here for? What you come here for?
So remember that meeting, St. George Southeast, it's going to be 6 p.m. down there close to Brian Woman. So that's for the people in Bocas and Petersfield. And St. Andrew Southwest at the Mountain Community Center. That's Saturday at 6 p.m. For the residents of St. Andrew Northwest. Sorry, St. Andrew Northwest.
We don't have to live like these. No. This is our party in here. We having our time, don't stop. We everybody breaking away. Check the unity inside here. Tell them we don't want no trouble. This party is decent people. If you ever thinking evil, inside there is really not for you. All we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, we don't have to live like these. No. All we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, we don't have to live like these. No. All you mean? That's right. You dress and you ready to party. Look, you have a knife from your belly. Rude boy, that is plain enough to see. You come here to kill somebody. It's time that you stop that nonsense. We come here to enjoy ourselves. Leave hatred right there on top the shelf. This party is no violence. All we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, we don't have to live like these. No.
blast into the final 10 minutes of today's program. For those of you that may experience a little drop off on 97.5, they are doing some work right now to make sure that by tomorrow morning we blast in at full power again. Yeah, you're hearing us in outer space when GT and them done with you, hearing us in outer space and all.
All we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, oi. We don't have to live.
We do apologize for those of you that have been having limited availability of the program over the past couple of weeks. It's due to no fault of the stations or of us here at Hard Talk Studios. It was due to a lightning strike, and it's put several stations off the air. Yes, so it had affected the transmitters for 97.5. It affected our connectivity for CRFM, and it also affected other stations. Had the same problems. There was a lightning strike in 1910. So you need to put some kind of conductor or something up there, you know. Not a bus conductor, no, another type of conductor to get electricity away from those things. But that kind of physics thing, as you have a lot of you have a lot of radio signals emanating from that location. There's kind of draw electricity.
No, all we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, we don't have to live like peace. No, all we want is unity and peace. Hey, in the party, we don't have to live like peace. No.
Good morning to you, Jason.
Hey, yo.
And we have a call online. Good morning.
Good morning, brother Sheldon.
Sistrin. You good?
How you do?
Well, I know you're not 100%.
97.5. What are they talking about? 97.5 working?
No, I know it's working in your area. So okay. you wouldn't have a problem with line of sight and so on in your area. You don't have a problem. Right. It is on, but it's not full power right now. So some people would be having a problem with it. For instance, even if usually 97.5 is one of the stations I get best down by me in Grand Anse. But for even it was off for a while with the lightning strike, and then when they put it back, it wasn't at full power. So some people still are not getting 97.5 as they would. Yeah, but you might be getting it good by you, but other people having a problem. But it will be all over within the next hour or two.
What about the father?
Well, he's not too well, so he's not in studio with us. Nothing life-threatening, eh? Don't go and think that's something real thing. Yeah, he's just not too well.
I didn't too well last week too.
I know.
I was in hospital.
I know. Believe me, I know.
I'm quite alright now.
Yeah, I didn't see you last night, so I don't think you'll come out.
Nah.
You had to stay home and rest.
You tell me don't yourself talk on the phone for too long.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, eh? Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay, my dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, they say don't talk on the phone too long. Well, I cut conversation one time. Me, I don't want to be responsible. You know, the whole world beat me up. Not me at all. I don't take in the whole world beating me up. Not at all. But I see something online there. I go to pull my Mako bench, you know. And I still wondering if to pull my Mako bench.
Are you ready for that?
See me, I feel somebody trying to trick me. No, I'm not pulling my Mako bench. Let me confirm the information that I have received. And once I confirm that information that I have received, I pull in my Mako bench. And all you know when I pull the Mako bench is something I go in and bust and something I go in and say. Eh?
Well, if you don't listen how we
I could have pulled the Mako bench now, you know. I could have just drag it, but nah.
never let politics divide.
All you thought after election the Mako bench bun? The Mako bench right there.
Hence the reason why we have to stay focused. Grenada's future depend on us to bring on a new day. No quarrel, no confusion. We building the nation today. A new day is dawning. This is what I say. A new day. Wipe away all your sorrow. Remember there is always hope for tomorrow. All of your sins will be wiped away. Put away your grievances and open your heart to receive. Put I said it's that new day, that new day. Another thing that I want to mention, never let religion tear us apart. Always try to avoid religious tension. Tolerance and love must come from your heart. And though we would never become like Syria, with sectarian violence every day, don't ever believe that you are inferior. We all have an important part to play to bring on a new day. No quarrel, no confusion. We building the nation today. A new day is dawning. This is what I say. A new day. Why?
Good morning to you, AC. And Neil, good morning to you as well, bro.
Your sins will be wiped away. Put away your differences and open your...
Folks, when November 6th comes, let's look at this thing seriously in the last few minutes. So when November 6th comes, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to graduate from one class to another. Yeah? We have an opportunity to move from dependency to self-sufficiency. We have an ability, as I said, it's simple. It's like you're closing in on 45 years old, as in February you're going to be 45. You take your money, you buy a house, you furnish the house, you're paying for electricity, you pay for every possible convenience that you could think about to have in that house. You paid for it, but you're still jamming by mommy and daddy. You ain't moving into the house. You leave the house empty, and you're not moving into that house. Okay, you like how mommy cooking. You like mommy wash your clothes. But mommy ain't gonna always be there. The day will come. We don't like to think about it. The day will come. I could talk about it because my mom has already passed to the great beyond. But the day will come when mommy ain't there to cook that nice food again. So what you gonna do? You ain't gonna learn how to cook for yourself? If you're a man, you ain't gonna learn how to cook for yourself? Or you ain't gonna marry a woman and let mommy have time teach you how to cook? Eh? And not that she can't cook, but you want it cooked in the way that mommy does do it. So you want to learn mommy recipe. Yeah? Or if it's a woman, you ain't go try and learn from mommy how she doing what she doing. So you get she recipe that she probably got from her mother. You ain't gonna do that. You're waiting until when she close you and then you can't get that again. Where you going to stop eat? What are you going to do? We find ourselves in a similar situation when it comes to this issue of the Privy Council versus the Caribbean Court of Justice. The day will come. Look at the present trends. Look at what is happening with the Windrush generation. Look at what has happened with Brexit. Look at the trends. And you will see what eventually will happen to all of the countries that still have the Privy Council as their final court of justice. The day will come when the doors of the Privy Council will be shut and the British people will say, we ain't spending no millions of pounds on this thing for the Commonwealth again. Those millions of pounds can be spent in Britain on the British and not other people, other countries. Because these are the same people that wouldn't spend £10,000 to cut the grass around the Governor General's residence, or to maintain the gardens as it used to be around the Governor General, or to build a new Governor General's residence. Same people you're talking about. But we are going to wait until they kick us out. When we could, and the thing they're using is that all you have all your own court that's paid for already. Why are you all still coming to us? Folks, we have an opportunity. And we should not wait till we end up in a crisis situation where the Privy Council is closed and then every country that outside who have to go in referendum or who have to be forced now to make a decision. Well, not a decision, the decision would have been made for them because you wouldn't have an option to stay in something that don't exist. You would only have the Caribbean Court of Justice or to go and create your own appeals court with your own Chief Justice and so on as your final court of appeal. The time is now. The bridge is there. cross the bridge, get to the other side, and do it now. Yeah, cross Jordan River. Cross it now. Do what you have to do now before the place is flooded. Folks, at this point in time, we're going to play the address last night by Prime Minister of Dominica, the Honorable Roosevelt Scott. And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. So we're going to play that one right about now. Love each and every one of you. I'm Sheldon Scott. I'm out of here, but we're playing the thing right now.
Our Grenadian people are proudly Caribbean, and we continually strengthen the bonds of the people of the region as together we embrace our collective destiny. We are the children of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, of Vivian Richards and David Rudder, as Caribbean as West Indies cricket, and as Caribbean as the University of the West Indies. We are reggae, we are soca, we are one vibration. Break the chains of colonialism for one united Caribbean. The Caribbean Court of Justice, proudly ours.
Rising out of the ghetto, third world, stagnation, reaching out for tomorrow with a world vibration.
Thank you very much. It's always my pleasure to be in this wonderful nation, the nation of Grenada, and its wonderful people. I first want to recognize in our presence the Acting Prime Minister, Honorable Gregory Boyne, MP for St. David, Honorable Oliver Joseph, members of Parliament, members of Cabinet, the Attorney General, Sir Lawrence, my friend and colleague, Honorable Joseph Isaac, the Minister for the Environment of Dominica, Honorable Senator Kim George, the leader of the National Democratic Congress, the chairman of the members of the committee of the CCJ Advisory Committee, and in a special way, Dr. Alexis, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I will not be reading a speech this evening to you, as I believe it is a conversation which we're having on a very important subject, which is Grenada's accession to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. In our case in Dominica, we attained independence in 1978, followed Grenada, which we would have achieved independence in 1977, but the British deferred it by 1 year. And at the time of the negotiations, obviously opposition and the government had to work together to get national consensus on our independence. And we had already drafted a constitution which would have had the Queen as the head of state. And it is Eugenia Charles, may her soul rest in peace, as leader of the opposition who suggested that we should go the full throttle and become a republic at our independence. And it's because she said, look, sooner or later, we're going to want to pursue being a republic. And so let us do it right away. And with our first constitution. And we ended up with being a republic. And we kept the word Commonwealth to associate ourselves, as always, with the community of the Commonwealth, but also, very importantly, to distinguish ourselves from the Republic of Dominica, because we would have been the Republic of Dominica as well. We acceded to the original jurisdiction of the court in 2005 by an act of parliament. And we acceded to the appellate jurisdiction in 2014. Now, in our constitution, we could have pursued one of two routes. There was an opportunity for a referendum, but the section on the Privy Council was drafted differently from most jurisdictions. So it allowed us to, first we had to write to the British government to indicate to them our intention to delink and to get their no objection. And they responded in the affirmative, and that allowed us to go to the Parliament to proceed with the amendment to the Constitution, but requiring a 2/3 majority of the elected members of the House of Assembly. So we went through that route instead of going through the route of the referendum, because our Constitution was drafted differently from yours in Grenada. Now, as you know, most of you would know, before the CARICOM took a final decision on the court, there was widespread regional consultation, extensive regional consultation. And the people who were tasked of consulting with the region went from island to island at different levels, engaging the Caribbean community. And the people said, look, we have to have a system where the court financing will be independent of national governments. And this is why we created this trust fund, where every government, when agreed to sign on to a loan of $100 million, a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank, and each of us took a portion of that in terms of our quota and signed on to this loan agreement, and of course went to our own national parliament seeking parliamentary approval in accordance with our Finance Administration Act, and of course the laws that deal with borrowing from different entities. And that fund is placed, and you have trustees who manage this fund on behalf of the Caribbean Court of Justice. So we have been able to sustain the financing of the courts. Then there was the issue of the appointment of the president of the court. And people said, look, what if this prime minister doesn't agree? What happens? Or 5 agree, what happens? And the rest don't. And this is why we agreed again, CARICOM agreed to responding to the concerns of and recommendations of the region. And we decided to have the president appointed by unanimous decision of the Caribbean community. So every head of state, head of government would have to agree for the appointment of the president of the court. Now I want to say to us here in Grenada that in my mind, one of the most important functions of a state is to ensure that we have access to justice. You may not have access to the executive, and you can live your life without them. You may not have access to the parliament, and you may live your life without them. The pastor may tell you that you are placed on probation because you did something contrary to the church rules, but you could go to another church. Access to justice in our jurisdiction is important, because while our Constitution gives us rights, it also gives us responsibilities, and we do not have any authority to trample on anybody's right in the furtherance of our own rights. And therefore, access to justice is important. And I do not want people to look at the argument of moving away from the CCJ, from the Privy Council to the CCJ, as being anti-British or anti the Queen or anti the UK or racist in tone or anything like this. It has nothing to do with these things. It is about a mission on the part of the Caribbean community to create institutions by ourselves, for ourselves, and to ensure that where the court is concerned, there's greater access to the courts by our ordinary people. And just to give you a simple statistic where Dominica is concerned and the Privy Council, and I'm sure if you do your own research in terms of Grenada, you will see a similar situation. Between 1998 and 2018, a total of 8 matters went before the Privy Council. 8. And I can tell you, you could walk the streets of Dominica tonight, and you can walk the streets of Grenada tonight, and you will meet many people who still feel aggrieved over a matter which went to the Court of Appeal here in our jurisdiction, who felt that the matter should have gone in their favor. But when they went to their lawyer, attorney, he says, look, boss, but the cost of this thing, it's better we just count our losses and leave this Privy Council alone. And furthermore, maybe the lawyer that you had cannot appear before the Privy Council. Because not every lawyer can appear before the Privy Council. So, 8 from 1988 to 2018. And of these 8, 3 were criminal matters and 5 civil matters. So what you have in the Caribbean, and I'm sure Grenada included, is that for you to have had the opportunity to go before the Privy Council, you would have had to be convicted of murder, be placed on death row, or sentenced for life. But the state has to cover this bill. Or if you have money, and I am not sure I am seeing billionaires here inside there tonight. Because really and truly, and most of these matters in Dominica are state corporations, obviously having access also to the national treasury, and 1 or 2 rich businessmen who were fighting for a substantial amount of monies and properties in Dominica. In one case, I see a brother and a sister went to the Privy Council because they were fighting for a substantial amount of the city of Roseau, which they own. So, to want to stay with the Privy Council, in our view, and my view, is not in the interest of every one of us in Grenada and every one of us in the Caribbean. And if something is not in your interest, the question is, why would you want to keep it? So we have to think about this matter. And you've heard from the Attorney General, and he's correct when he says that the British have said to us, the British authorities have said to us, Privy Council, many times, that it is time that you form your own court. And this is why we went and we formed our own court. And they're saying to us repeatedly, go and join the CCJ. In other words, we are fed up with you guys. You guys are your own people. You have your independent states. Do your own thing by yourself and so on. Stop bothering us in our kingdom. Stop taking an 8-hour flight and come to us and loitering at the steps of the Privy Council. I'll give you a classic example. The University of the West Indies medicine degree was accredited by a British entity. And literally overnight, that entity imposed on the University of the West Indies program certain conditions. And the University of West Indies felt that these conditions were unfair, they were onerous, and it did not accede to the demands of the accreditation authority of the United Kingdom. And we found ourselves at the University of the West Indies, within weeks of students graduating, with an unaccredited program. So the students would have graduated, and the degree would not have been recognized because they were not accredited. Nobody would stamp to say this degree program is recognized. That student is should be recognized as a medical doctor. And we had to call in emergency meetings of the heads. Emergency meeting of the heads, literally overnight, to create an entity, a regional accreditation entity that would have accredited the University of West Indies program in advance of the graduation ceremony. Now, in respect to the Privy Council, the same can happen to us. Well, not to me in Dominica, to you in Grenada. Because we have crossed the river already. I am here to tell you that you need to cross the river, or otherwise you'll get drowned. So you could have a situation where literally overnight, you do not have a final court in Grenada. And your constitution does not allow it to the Dominica route, where within 90 days we can have an act of parliament and amend the constitution. You would have to go through that same process as spelled out in the constitution. The constitution speaks to a process. It cannot be overnight. So I'm saying to us, especially the youth, and the youth have to understand that we have to be part of this historical undertaking. Because you are securing your future and your own protection as a citizen of Grenada and a resident of the Caribbean community. And to you, my dear aunties and grannies and uncles and grandpas and so on, you need to go out to vote yes, to ensure that your children, we're just in the waiting room as far as you're concerned, but our children and grandchildren are yet to come. And yes, we could wait a little longer, but how much longer do you want to wait? Because we've been waiting for over 100 years. And you in Grenada, you've been independent since 1974. And so if you say that you're independent, what does that mean to you as a people? Because we in Dominica, we've said, and we had a very auspicious ceremony to usher in our recognition of the court in its appellate jurisdiction in Dominica. And I invited Dr. Alexis to be a featured speaker. And I did so deliberately. I could have gotten many Dominicans to speak, but I did so to let our Dominican citizens and residents understand that this is a regional undertaking. It is not a narrow Dominican undertaking, it's a regional undertaking. And I invited a Grenadian brother to come to address us in Dominica on this important. And it might be even useful for us to make Dr. Alexis make this speech available to the Grenadian community. Because I believe it will also help us understand the importance of this court to us. So we have an opportunity now in Grenada and the Caribbean to do this in an orderly fashion. And when we speak about regional integration, all of us criticize CARICOM. Oh, CARICOM is a waste of time. CARICOM this, CARICOM that. This prime minister is going to meetings and nothing comes out of it. But here it is, out of these meetings, we created a court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as a symbol of our independence, as a recognition that we in the Caribbean have sons and daughters of the soil who have the capacity and the academic background to adjudicate independently and in a reasoned fashion on matters that are brought before them. And sometimes we in the Caribbean, we like to view our brothers and sisters with suspicion. We believe that our people do not have the capacity, but guess what? The people whom we think do not have the capacity to adjudicate on matters that come before them, other courts, other jurisdiction, use them. You have heard of Telford Georges, who was internationally respected. Sir Dennis Byron was part of a UN court in Ghana. You had, I believe, a gentleman, Doliver Nelson. So you're telling me that, and mark you, these people have been judges in countries where people don't look like us. And they're respected. You had people like Dr. Liverpool, Nicholas Liverpool of blessed memory. So we have the capacity here in the Caribbean to determine our own courts. And I said in terms of regional integration, when we created CXC, the Caribbean Examination Council, people were not happy. People said, why are you changing from GCE to CXC and why do that and so forth? And had we not created CXC then and built capacity and an understanding of examinations, what exam would our children be sitting today? Where is GCE today? Where is GCE today? When UE was created, there were those who were educated in the United Kingdom who felt that this UE stuff that makes no sense and so forth. But the advent of UE has caused a dramatic increase in access to tertiary education by our people. And I'm saying to you in Grenada that you would not be defining who you really are and who you really have been if you do not vote yes for this CCJ. Because Grenada has always been at the forefront of regional integration. The Grandance Declaration here in Grenada, anytime you wanted to talk about integration, regional integration, you had to come to discuss it in Grenada at Grandance. Grenada has been the most progressive island in the Caribbean. You have traveled distances and roads that none of us in the Caribbean have traveled. So, for you to wake up, if you were to wake up in the morning after, or the results would be in the evening, but you go to bed and you wake up in the morning, and you would not have achieved the stipulation as provided for in the Constitution, you would have done a great injustice to yourself. And as I said to you, you have an opportunity to do this in an orderly fashion. In an orderly fashion. And our grandparents always told us what you can do today, don't live for tomorrow. And I am happy to see that both the governing party and the party in opposition are in unison on this issue. There may be issues of process, which is understood and can be engaged. But I believe the fundamental point is that there is an appreciation that it must be done and it should be done. Because issues of justice must always be immune to partisanship. Because all of us rely on the court for one thing or the other. And it's important for there to be this unity. And I say to you, and I appreciate the words of the leader of the NDC, that they're not looking at this from a partisan lens. And the government is not looking at this, from what I've heard from the Attorney General, looking at this from a partisan lens. And therefore I'm saying to us, all of us, and because it's a referendum, and sometimes people will come out to vote for national elections because they want their job secured. They may have applied for a home and if they have to vote to get this home, to secure this home. So you may not want to be motivated to come out to vote for this referendum. And I'm saying to you, even government supporters may say, well, this is not going to change the government tomorrow morning, so why vote? This is not about the government. This is not about the NDC or the NNP. This is about you. See me, if I was the Prime Minister of Grenada, I wish I was the Prime Minister of Grenada. I would ensure that there is a national holiday to allow people to go out to vote, so there is no excuse. Everybody would go out to vote, and you may be tempted, my dear brothers and sisters, to say, well, why am I going to stand in the line for 2 hours to vote? The same way our forefathers fought to vote because only landowners could vote in our region. Only landowners could vote in our region. And in the same way that they fought to vote to get the adult suffrage, we cannot let that sacrifice, that blood and that sweat go in vain. History, I'm saying to you, will not be kind to the current generations of Grenadians if you do not come out with a yes vote on the night of this referendum. I can tell you in Dominica's case, we were very strident in acceding to the courts in both jurisdictions because we understood and still understand the importance of the court to the ordinary man. You see, those who have money can fly to England. They can pay the $120,000, $150,000, $200,000, $400,000 to go to the United Kingdom. How many of us here in this audience have relatives in England who would love to go for a vacation to see them, but we can't afford it? And there are people who have been brought before, for example, the last case that was brought before the CCJ from Dominica, the respondent appeared in person. He couldn't afford, or we say he couldn't afford, I don't know. But he couldn't afford to get senior counsel or Queen's counsel to appear for him. So, my final word to you, my dear brothers and sisters, that we have a date with history. We have a date with history. We have a date to solidify our independence. We have a date to ensure that we can vote for or by ourselves, for ourselves, greater access to justice. How many of you here would want greater access to justice? Everybody? So why isn't everybody going to vote? Or will everybody go to vote? Those who are registered to vote. So you are doing this for yourself. You're not doing it for the Attorney General. You're not doing it for the Senator. You're not doing it for MP Joseph or any of the ministers. You're not doing it for my friend, the leader of the NDC. You're doing it solemnly for yourself and for your children. Because you never know when you will need that court. And we speak here of access to the CCJ. We also speak to affordability of the CCJ. Because the CCJ has taken a decision to have matters heard in our respective countries. So, if a matter, there are 5 matters in Grenada, they'll come to Grenada to hear the matters. So you don't have to pay any tickets to go to Trinidad, no matter how close Trinidad is. You simply take a bus and pay $2 and go and let your matter be heard. And it is even taking into consideration your socio-economic condition. If you cannot afford the fees, it shall make arrangements to set it aside on your behalf. So, for many of us, access to justice could very well be free. Could very well be free. Only if you vote yes for the CCJ and you get the 2/3. I am not a politician. I consider myself to be a community leader. And therefore I will not be speaking long. But just to say, I just wanted to bring this very simple message to you. This very simple message to you. That you have a duty to yourself and an obligation to your nation and to succeeding generations to vote in support of the CCJ. So, when you go to this polling station, look for the 3-letter word, YES, and put here, is an X you put? A tick? Just a small tick, and you say, thank you, Jesus, I'm doing something good for you. You see, and you would say, you should, when you live there, you have to say a special prayer because first time in my life, I have taken a decision to allow myself and my people to have access to justice. And my brothers and sisters who died not having their matters appropriately heard as far as they're concerned, you're doing it for them because your children will not be fallen to that same fate of ending a matter at the High Court, at the Court of Appeal, because you couldn't afford to go to the United Kingdom to have it heard in its final jurisdiction. And come this year, you will have 6 of November, you will have that opportunity. You will have an opportunity. So I wish you all the best, my brothers and sisters, Grenada. I wish you God's blessing, and may God bless this beautiful country. Thank you very much.
The CCJ will be a Caribbean court, reflective of Caribbean culture, Caribbean values, and everything Caribbean. I ask this question: which court do you think will adequately reflect the views of Caribbean people to those who worry? Will it be the Privy Council, persons in Britain, persons who have never lived in the Caribbean, persons who don't share our values, persons who don't understand what we stand for and what values we uphold? Or would it be our people who have grown among us, who live among us, who attend the churches we attend, who attend the schools we attend, who are members of the soccer teams that we are members of? Who best do you think will reflect us?
It's about time. It's long overdue. We should be there because, get out of the British thing, and so we are all one Caribbean, and I think that will be binding us more together.
Yours is yours. Privy Council is not ours. No matter what we do, what we say, no matter what ties we had to England, this is the time to keep divesting ourselves of those strings that tie us unnecessarily.
There's nothing in this bill for any partisan political party. Nothing. There's only one thing in this. It's for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and for the Caribbean region as a whole.
Justice has to be accessible, affordable, and swift.
Grenada is about to embark on another historic mission of amending its constitution for the first time since its independence. From all indication, the push is for the changes to be made before the end of the year, 2 years after the first attempt failed.
I believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved. And hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward, because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass. And I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. But I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction, and it would be, to me, almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country.
2 years ago, 8 bills were tabled for constitution change, but this time around, the focus is on one which, if successful, will see the Caribbean Court of Justice replacing the London Privy Council as the final court of appeal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who was re-elected to office by a landslide victory on March 13, 2018, says he intends to play an active role this time around.
And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now the countries that are now part of the CCJ are getting decisions based on the govern those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I would play a much more active role this time than I did the last time.
The bill seeking the constitutional change is already out. It's called the Constitution of Grenada Caribbean Court of Justice and Other Justice-Related Matters Amendment Bill 2018, one of the 8 attempted 2 years ago. It includes almost everything in the 2016 bill, but removed are the sections that speak about the code of conduct for public officials and the swearing allegiance to the country. Debate has continued over the years about doing away with the Privy Council and replacing it with the Caribbean Court of Justice System, the CCJ. The Privy Council in London and the CCJ based in Trinidad are both a final court of appeal that retries civil and criminal cases if the original ruling is thought not to be satisfactory. But proponents argue that the CCJ, formed and operated by the Caribbean people, would allow for a sense of independence and would make access to a fair trial much easier.
The arguments in favor of independence, the CCJ being an independent court, and in fact, the CCJ being one of the most independent courts in terms of structure and appointment of judges, not just in the region, but it is used as a model for other courts, particularly in relation to financing and in relation to the selection of judges. And that ultimately is the test.
There have been some recurring points of concerns about the idea of the CCJ as Grenada's final court of appeal, access, cost, and the likelihood of political interference.
What the CCJ has done and what has been approved with respect to the CCJ is the setting up of this independent trust fund that is managed by a board of trustees. And what is important about that board of trustees and the composition of that board of trustees is that you have no politicians at all on that board.
Former Minister of Legal Affairs Elvin Nimrod tabled the bill in Parliament in 2016. Newly appointed Minister of Legal Affairs Honorable Kindra Mathurin Stewart says the implementation of the CCJ to Grenada will enhance the judiciary system of the trial and state.
For Grenada to have access to the CCJ as its final appellate court, that would mean for us here in Grenada that our people would have greater access to justice. As you know, with the Privy Council, persons had to travel far to England to access the Privy Council. But of course, the CCJ is right next door, and I believe, of course, with its location and its ease of access, that locals, ordinary people like me and you, would be able to have access to justice.
The Legal Affairs Minister says she believes there are competent experts here that are capable to execute the process.
I believe that we in the Caribbean are capable of creating and making our own jurisprudence. We don't have to depend on English judges and English folks to make jurisprudence for us. And I believe that we are well capable. We've had notable jurists and persons coming out or emanating from the Caribbean, CARICOM. And I believe that we possess that talent, we possess that experiences, and I believe that we are well poised to create our own jurisprudence. That in its sense alone too would basically signal, of course, a greater independence for us as an independent nation of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
In October of 2016, the Grenada Constitution reform was held, where citizens took to the polls to cast their ballots for or against the implementation of the CCJ as the final appellate court. Constitution reform process then was denied based on the outcome of the votes. Although CARICOM created the CCJ as a replacement for the Privy Council, it did not fully replicate the British system. Instead, it chose to copy certain practices while creating other divergent ones. Residents here say while they are willing to accept the change, there must be proper consultation on the subject.
Public education, and my first observation is that there are too many lessons, or if not lessons, too many chapters, or if not chapters, too many books to be learned within that space of time. The bills, the issues for the referendum, they are significant enough and far-reaching to have what I refer to as a limited time.
That of the CCJ, which country like Trinidad, Barbados, country which implemented that CCJ and they are ineffective already, they still go to the Privy Council for hearing in the jurisdiction. So we go into the CCJ now. We are neglecting the Privy Council and go to the CCJ. And them countries which are still implementing the CCJ, the Privy Council for a hearing. So how that go be looking when we neglect the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, and them countries which implemented the CCJ are still under the Privy Council.
During the swearing-in ceremony, after winning all 15 seats at the 2018 general election, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell reassured the nation that consultation and education on the process will soon resume.
As each of us seeks to protect and save our children, we must look out also for our neighbors' children and to the broader issue of justice. And as it is also related to our independence and to our national identity, we must open up a dialogue again about joining the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.